Right now, as you're watching this, a battery technology just announced by Samsung is about to crack open one of the most important supply chains on the planet. Not gradually, but fast, within the next 12 to 18 months. And the wild part? Almost nobody is paying attention. This is not about electric cars. Well, it is, but it's about something much bigger. This is about a pattern. A four-stage pattern that has played out in supply chains, markets, and geopolitical systems over and over again throughout history. And if you understand this pattern, you don't just survive what's coming, you position yourself to thrive. You're not late. But you're not early either. You're standing at the door of stage 3. And stage 4 is going to break a lot of assumptions. By the end of this video, you'll know where we are, why it matters, and exactly what you can do about it. Let's go. The four-stage pattern. Nobody talks about. Here's the thing about systems that depend on scarce, finite resources. They always follow the same four-stage arc. Always. Whether it's oil in the 1970s, semiconductors in 2021, or what's happening right now. Same pattern, same outcome, different decade. Stage 1 is obscurity. The resource exists. It's used. But it's not critical yet. Supply is abundant. Nobody fights over it. Prices are stable. You could store it in a warehouse and nobody cares. The system that depends on it hasn't fully formed yet. Or it's so small that the supply chain doesn't stress. This stage can last for decades. People are comfortable. Institutions trust the system. Everyone assumes abundance is permanent. Stage 2 is hidden leverage. This is where it gets dangerous. A new technology, a new industry, or a massive wave of adoption suddenly emerges. Demand starts climbing. But it's climbing quietly. The people making decisions in these big industries, they're looking at paper projections, spreadsheets, and regulatory documents. They're not thinking about mines. They're not thinking about extraction capacity. They're thinking about market share and quarterly targets. Stage 3 is the squeeze. Reality hits. Capacity is maxed out. You can't expand mining fast enough. New projects take 5, 10, sometimes 15 years to come online. Demand is no longer theoretical. It's urgent. It's here. Now. Prices start moving. Not smoothly upward, violently. Institutions start hoarding. Buyers start panicking. Contracts that promise delivery suddenly face delays. Governments start paying attention. Rules start changing. The paperwork that promised abundance is exposed as fantasy. People wake up. But by now, it's almost too late to react. This is where we are right now. Stage 4 is the break. This is where the illusion shatters completely. Institutions that promised they had supply announce they can't deliver. Prices spike dramatically. Trading gets restricted. Governments impose controls. Rationing begins. Rules change mid-game. What was promised gets settled differently. Physical delivery stops. Access disappears. Ordinary people feel it as sold out, delays, and broken promises. The system that everyone assumed was solid is revealed as fragile. And the only people who are okay are the ones who saw it coming and acted early. That's the pattern. 4 stages. It happens every single time. And the vast majority of people only wake up in stage 3, when it's almost too late. Why this time is different. Here's what makes this moment unique. This is not about fashion. This is not about luxury. This is not about something people want. This is about something the entire modern world is building its future on. Samsung just announced a solid-state battery technology. Revolutionary doesn't even begin to cover it. This battery can store almost twice as much energy as today's best batteries. It can charge from 0 to 80% in 9 minutes. It can run for 20 years without major degradation. And it can take a single vehicle over 600 miles on one charge. That's not an upgrade. That's a complete transformation of what's possible in electric vehicles. But here's the thing that matters for this video. Every single one of these batteries requires one specific material woven throughout its core. A material that is scarce, finite, and not easily replaced. And it's about to be in massive demand. Right now, primary silver mines around the world are operating at 85% capacity. That's not normal. That's maximum stress. There's almost no room to produce more. To open a new silver mine and get it into production takes over 10 years, sometimes 15. You can't just flip a switch and produce more silver next quarter. So let's do the math that almost nobody is doing. If Samsung's technology makes even 1% of the battery packs in the world, demand for this one material spikes by hundreds of thousands of tons. If it becomes 10% of all batteries, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of tons every single year, for decades. The current supply cannot handle this, period. And you can't print it. You can't vote it into existence. Physics doesn't care about policy. You either have it or you don't. How this played out. Before. Let me tell you a story about a system that everyone thought was invincible, that played out almost exactly the same way. It's 2010. The world is waking up to a massive problem. Climate change is undeniable. Energy demand is surging. Governments start making promises. Green energy is the future. Solar panels, wind turbines, electric vehicles, the world commits. Trillions of dollars flow into these industries. Sounds great, right? Here's what happens next. These technologies need rare earth elements, specialized metals, materials that don't come out of the ground in abundance. They come from a handful of countries, mostly one country actually. China controlled 70% of the global supply, and China in the late 2000s was not being asked nicely for these materials. China was in its own boom. Demand was exploding. So China started restricting exports, just quietly, reducing quota, making prices spike, making it harder for other countries to access what they needed. By 2011, countries like Japan and Germany started freaking out. They realized they had built their entire green energy future on a supply chain they didn't control. One country could strangle the whole system. They got lucky. New mines opened. Recycling got better. The crisis didn't fully materialize, but the lesson was crystal clear. When you build a system that depends on a scarce resource, you are vulnerable. And when that resource is suddenly in explosive demand, the system breaks. Now fast forward to today. We are about to repeat that exact dynamic. But worse, because this time it's not just one country. It's the entire geopolitical structure of the planet trying to shift to electric vehicles at the same time. And it's all running on batteries. And every new battery technology that comes out, the ones that are supposed to solve the problem, requires more of a resource that we can barely produce now. The supply chain time bomb. Here's what's happening right now in real time. Samsung's pilot production lines have been running since Q3 of 2024. They're producing, they're testing, they're proving the technology works. And major automotive companies are already in conversations about adoption. Not hypothetical, real conversations, contracts, timelines. Initial production vehicles with this technology are scheduled for late 2026. That's less than 2 years away. 2 years. When a major automaker switches to a new battery technology, the supply chain has to follow. It's not optional. If you can't get the material, you can't make the battery. If you can't make the battery, you can't make the car. If you can't make the car, you don't have revenue. It cascades. Right now, if just 20% of global vehicle production, that's about 16 million vehicles per year, switches to this technology, annual demand for this critical material spikes by 16,000 metric tons. To put that in perspective, that's 62% of current global supply, just gone, in 1 year, to one new application. Recycling infrastructure currently recovers only 18% of this material from old electronics and batteries. 18%. That means 82% of what we use is effectively lost. So you can't count on recycling to save you. Not yet. The mines are already maxed out. Lead times for new production capacity exceed 10 years. This is not a problem that solves itself in 2 years. It doesn't solve itself in 5 years. We are standing at the door of stage 4. Listen, I need to be direct here. We are deep in stage 3. The squeeze is already happening, and the door to stage 4 is starting to open. Here's what the transition looks like. Right now, prices are starting to move, volatility is increasing, institutions are starting to ask uncomfortable questions about supply. Supply chain experts are running the math and realizing it doesn't work. The paperwork that promised this would all work out, it's looking shaky. But we're not fully in stage 4 yet. There's still access, there's still time to act. The friction and the cost are still relatively normal. You can still move, still participate, still position yourself. In stage 4, none of that is true. Access becomes restricted. Controls get imposed, rationing happens, the rules change mid-game. What was promised gets settled differently. And the only people who are okay are the ones who acted when the door was still open. That door is closing. It's not closed yet, but it's closing.